Hey friends, Dory here for Gamereactor. I am currently in my homeland of Iceland for Slush Play 2016, and I'm just about to get a presentation on a game that I've been following for quite a while now, Starborne, a 4X MMO RTS. So, sound interesting? Well, let's switch to the presentation.
So, when I introduce new people to the game, my one-liner is that this is a massively multiplayer civilization in space. If you understand those concepts, they are already well on your way of understanding Starborne. When you enter Starborne for the first time, you start the game with a single small space station like this one. And you can see that the blue hex below the station represents the station's influence or its borders or the area of space it controls. Inside of the station, here in the buildings tab, you will be able to see all the buildings you can build inside the station. Depending on which path you choose, we have the military buildings, the domain buildings, and the industrial buildings. You gear your station for the specific role that you want it to function as within your empire.
But can you mix and match kind of throughout?
You can a little bit, but you cannot go to the top of the tree in all of the colors, but you can go to the top of one and then a fair amount of another color. So, and depending on how you mix and match the stations, they of course begin to behave differently. If you go up the green path, the military buildings, you make a military station that allows you to build outposts that defend your station. The domain buildings allow you to do better espionage, more commerce, better control of your area. And if you go into the industrial path, the orange ones, you're making an industrial station that produces a lot of resources and is able to easily freight resources to other stations. As I build these buildings and as I level them up, if you notice, I have this influence bar down here. And when it crosses the threshold, my station will expand its influence and become like this station here. As you can see, now I have a one radius hex further claimed by the station. And these orange lines represent that I'm harvesting this hex. So as I claim area for each station, I'm allowed to utilize the resources that are surrounding the station. And in fact, that's of course why you build new stations, to get more resources. Later on, like in my capital station here, you can see that I'm harvesting this hex here, and I have built a mining facility outpost on top of the resource hex, which makes it a better hex to harvest. So we have these outposts that the station can build, and the types of outpost is decided by which path you took your station in. This is one of the view modes. This is what we call the normal view mode. But if I press space, I change the view mode I have. Now, this is what we call the exploration view mode. And if I take one of my scout fleets here, and I send them out to scan this area, now it's going to move pretty fast. This is because I'm using a cheat server, so I can show you stuff. But what it does is that it goes over to the designated hex and it drops a probe, and the probe scans the area for signals. When it doesn't find any signals, we just see these blue fields here. But when it does find signals, we are presented with a heat map. And maybe, yeah, this is a better example. You can see that if I was going to pursue the signals I detected here, I would next time land a probe in the hotter hexes. And eventually, I will find what emitted the signals, and it will be displayed in red like this. And these are missions. And let's just take a look at this mission here. It requires one defense fleet and one escort, which is basically any type of ship. So I'm just going to send these out. As they complete the mission, there is no interaction when they complete the mission. You just have to fulfill the requirements. And when they come back, they will bring back a cache of cards. And here it is, Martian cache received. And these are the cards I got for completing this mission. And cards are used to customize my stations, to give them stat boost, or to add functionality to them, or I can attach them to ships, my fleets, to change the behavior of my fleets. I might have a fleet of exactly the same units as you do, but because I don't have the same cards as you, mine behaves differently and has different combat values. And this is how you customize your empire, by placing cards on your station and your fleets. And this is my inventory of cards. Let's take a look at the pretty cards over here. This is really gamish. And the thing is, you get random cards for missions, So, but you are allowed to break them down for this value here, which we call prestige, and then you can craft the card that you want. So you keep doing missions, and you just break down the cards you don't want to use to get the cards you do want to use, which is very similar to how Hearthstone does it.
Now, you mentioned shortly there that it will take different amounts of time in real time to complete these actions.
Absolutely. So
I'm assuming that is a way to, because you're not, I mean, this is a multiplayer game, you can't really do turn-based. So this is kind of the...
Yes, so this is a massively multiplayer strategy game, and it cannot be a turn-based game because nobody's going to wait for 20,000 people to finish their turn. So all of your actions take real time, whether it is completing orders, if you give orders to your fleets, or building stuff in your stations, they all take real time to complete. And this is how we mimic turns. So once you enter the game, you give orders to your fleets, you give orders to your stations, and then there's really not much for you to do until those orders are complete. And that makes it that you just finished your turn for now. The play pattern for these kinds of games is that people log on several times during the day for short amounts of time, do their stuff, and come back out. That being said, there are points in the game where it's very beneficial to your empire to spend some time on it. Like when you build a new station, all the buildings are very low level and it takes a very short time to raise each level. So it pays for you to get them up and going, spend like a couple hours getting that station ready. So it just kind of grinds along your empire. We also have what we call the resource mode. This is what you use to plan your empire. By looking at this field of resources, I can see what the yields are and make informed decisions about where I'm going to place my next station. As my empire grows and grows, I will eventually bump into other players, and then it's just a matter of what kind of player am I and how good of a politician I am, what happens. If I really want their land, I might want to eliminate them, or break their spirit so they quit the game and I can get their land. Or we just make friends, because it's better to have friends close to you than it is to have enemies. You want your enemies far away. And this is, in a nutshell, how you play Starborne. You increase the production of your station, you create fleets, you explore the world, you make alliances, and the game is of a finite length. It takes 6 months to finish one game. And in the latter half of the game, or actually the last 2 months, the end game phase begins. And then you have alliances of players racing to complete their victory conditions while simultaneously trying to prevent other alliances from completing theirs. So you have this chaos of people trying to win the game while trying to prevent others to win the game as well.
I should say this is an MMO, basically. So how many players can we expect to be in one instance, and how big will the maps be?
Well, the map is seamless, and what we're looking at here is a map for about 700 players. Eventually, we will have maps for 20,000 players, and to put that into context, the largest map in Civilization 5 was about 10.5k hexes. Our map, a single seamless map, is going to be 1.5 million hexes. So it's going to be rather huge.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the art style and you know, the different types of ships and stuff? Because it's not all about gameplay. You also want to have something pretty to look at.
Yeah. So the art director for Starborne is the former art director for EVE Online. If anybody knows how to draw spaceships, it's him. And we want the map to be gorgeous. We want people to stop on the map and take a look at it. We want to have real world phenomena on the map. We want to have binary stars and black holes and white holes, and although binary stars are not a real world phenomena yet, but they're theoretically possible, and that's good enough for us. You might be able to find the planet that's been cut in half due to some catastrophe, and you will see the molten core leak into space, and if you click it a few times, it will provide you with an interaction. So clicking the map and clicking items on the map is going to give you feedback. It's going to be enjoyable, and it's going to be pretty. If you take a look at sceneries like this one, it's easy to see how immersive and how easily it becomes immersive like this. When you have fleets in movement, you will be able to zoom in and watch your fleets as they fly through the galaxy, which is really cool when you have 20 ships and super cool when you have 200 ships, but fucking awesome when you have 200,000 ships. I'm not supposed to say that, am I? Okay. Anyway, it will make you feel like a really, really cool space Napoleon to watch your fleets as they fly past the universe.
And just to be clear, the map that we see here, this is you're not going to be playing on planets or anything like that.
No.
This is the game board.
This is the game world. You will not go into the planets and you will not go into the ships. I can show you a few of the ships here. This is the gunship, that's the bomber. This ship is able to destroy other stations and the buildings inside the stations. This is the dreadnought. This is our scout ship. These ships all have a basic function, but depending on which cards you place on your fleets, you can change their function a little bit, or maybe even drastically, and give them new abilities or just boost the stats they already have.
Okay, so what's the status of the game right now, and when are you planning to scale up?
The status right now is that we're about to enter our first large-scale alpha test. We're going to invite about 500 to 700 people to join us on this game map. This will start in about 3 to 4 weeks. The game is being scheduled for a soft launch in about a year, an open beta. And at that time we will have a PC client and a mobile companion app for those that are not all day long next to a computer. They will be able to monitor the game via their mobile device.
So yeah, through the mobile app you'll be able to, level up.
It is not certain exactly to what extent the mobile app will be at launch at the point, but eventually you will have the full game on mobile. So at first, at least, we want to allow people to monitor what's happening, and because everything takes real time, usually you will have a nice time to react to things that you did not plan for. Like an incoming attack, you always see all incoming attacks. You might not see what's in them, but you know they're coming and you know the exact time when they land. So you know how much time you have to respond.
Now, of course, whenever we do an interview on an MMO, the question that we have to ask, the most boring question is, what about monetization?
Monetization, my favorite question. So what everybody's immediately worried about when I say it's a free-to-play game, will it be pay to win? Solid Clouds is a company that's very, very PvP oriented. However we monetize, we're going to keep in mind that we do not make the game a pay to win game. That's not a game we want to make. We would rather try to target people's impatience rather than their greed for victory.
And so about the alpha coming up, how can people sign up?
You can go to starborne.com and there's a big button there. You can click to apply for the alpha. Right now the alpha that's starting in a couple of weeks is full, but another one is scheduled in a few months after that. So you should sign up if you're interested in participating in the alpha, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.